Hey everyone, it's Alice Toy with Century 21 in Niceville.
I'm Bart with Certainty Home Loans.
And today we're bringing you 3 things you need to know before buying a short sale. Before we dive into those 3 things though, Bart, I'd like for you to explain what a short sale is.
It's a good question. It is different than a foreclosure. First thing to understand is that a short sale is a house actually owned by the person who bought it still. A foreclosure is when you're buying a house from a bank. Okay, so that's an important distinction. You're still buying from a person that owns this house. A short sale really is when the person who owns the house owes more on the home than the house is currently worth. So let's imagine a situation where this homeowner owes $200,000, but the house is really only worth $175,000 at that point. They can't sell it for $200,000 just because they owe $200,000. They can only sell it for what it's worth.
Right.
So that homeowner will begin to work with their bank to try to negotiate a short sale, selling the house short of how much is owed on the mortgage.
Okay, so let's get into it. So the first thing that you need to know about a short sale is that contrary to its name, short sales sometimes aren't short. So the typical residential transaction will usually take about 30 to 45 days to close. In a short sale, it's usually going to be about 90 days or more. And so Bart, can you tell us more about why it takes so long in a short sale?
Yes, one of the important things, so this person who owes $200,000 on their home has a mortgage company, right? They have to work with their mortgage company to get their mortgage company to agree to whatever sale price. So let's just continue using our scenario. If they have a contract to sell that house for $175,000 and maybe they're going to net from that sale $160,000, right? Mm-hmm. Well, they owe $200,000. They're trying to net $160,000, which means the bank has to consider, are they willing to accept $160,000 in lieu of the $200,000 that they're owed?
Okay.
In order to approve that, they are going to get with that homeowner. They're going to require to get their financials to see, can you make this payment? Or are you really unable to? Or you just decided you don't want to anymore, right? So they're going to actually do an in-depth dive into this person's financials to see, do they have the means to make this payment, or do they have the means to pay off that difference between what they're going to sell and what they actually owe? That process can take a long time. In addition, the bank is going to get an appraisal done on the property. That is the current owner's bank. They're going to get an appraisal done so they can find out, how much is this house really worth? I understand you're willing to sell it for $175,000, but we're owed $200,000. What if it's worth $200,000? So they're going to get an appraisal done too. So that entire process takes a lot of time.
Okay, so sometimes the banks just aren't that fast in that process, and that's what's slowing things down.
Yeah, and some of it can be faster if a homeowner has already begun the process with their lender to start getting that process approval underway. So sometimes it doesn't take a long time, but most of the time they haven't really started that process. So that process can take a long time.
Okay. All right. Second thing you need to know about short sales is that a short sale is going to be sold as is. So when a house is sold in as is condition, that usually means that the seller is unable or unwilling to make any repairs to the home. And so if the home does need repairs, it's unlikely that the seller is going to give any money or negotiate these repairs because they're already in the position of a short sale, meaning they are unable to make their mortgage payment. So it's pretty unlikely that they're going to have the money to put towards repairs. However, if you do a home inspection and it comes back and the repairs are too costly, that does give you an opportunity to back out of the contract. Mm-hmm. So the third thing that you need to know about a short sale is that they can be very costly. Mm-hmm. A short sale might seem like a good idea at first, but then there might be some more costs incurred at the end. And so can you explain what some of those costs are going to be?
Yeah. So in our scenario, this seller doesn't have the means to make their house payment or bring the house note, bring the difference. They also don't have the money to pay closing costs for you. Similar to the repairs. They can't make the repairs. They also can't pay buyers' closing costs because they just don't have the means to be able to do so. And the bank is already, in our scenario, going to be taking like a $40,000 loss. So if the bank agrees to, they can, but they don't really want to, agree to take an even larger loss in order to pay those closing costs on behalf of the buyer. So typically speaking, a buyer is going to have to pay more of their own closing costs than they might have to in a normal transaction. So it can be more costly to purchase a short sale than to to purchase something else where a seller has equity and they can kind of give up some of their equity in order to pay closing costs on behalf of the buyer.
And we already kind of touched on how the repairs can also be an added expense, maybe that you weren't expecting initially with the purchase price.
Yeah, that's right. Absolutely.
All right, so our bottom line here today is that a short sale is a different process than your typical residential transaction. And so if you are considering a short sale, it would be really important that you find a real estate agent who has experience working in short sales and can help you through the process. So if you like this video, please give us the thumbs up button and subscribe to our page, and we'll see you next time.
All right. Bye-bye. Hey, what are we going to talk about next time? We're going to talk about next time short sales continue, but we're going to talk about 3 things to consider if you've had a short sale or if you're considering selling your home through the short sale process. So pay attention to that.
Sounds good.
All right. Bye-bye.